So there's a few things in the world I believe in. One being in the phrase, use it up, wear it out. If you can't afford it, do without. Another thing I believe in, one of the best feelings on earth, finally taking your boots off after a long day. If you wear boots, scrub shoes like Danskos, or really running shoe if you've been doing a long run, or for our military folk, these kind of boots all the time. Another thing I believe in is a common phrase that you probably hear through very inspirational people and through military people, is adapt and overcome. So that's what we're going to talk about today on Taste and Tech. First off, thank you. Biggest thanks I could throw out there, as hard as I can throw it. Dan Baker. Like, thank you, dude. Like, this guy messaged me when I was on vacation for a couple days, and he had originally told me during a live stream I had about a month ago that he had this beer he really wanted me to try, but you can only find it in the Erie area and in Pennsylvania. So I kind of went, okay, well, I'll try to look for it. And I never found it. Then just out of the blue a couple days ago, he messaged me and said, hey, my friend brought me 3 6-packs. So he gives me one. Now, if that's not a stand-up guy, I don't know what is. Dan, thank you a lot, my friend. The only thing he asked me to do is he asked me to be very harsh, very truthful on this, but I guess he doesn't understand that that's every single episode. There's no bullshit here. I'll bullshit with you in person just to talk and shoot the shit. But when it comes to this, I want to be straightforward and upfront with everything. So, we're first going to break into one of these and give it a shot. It is called Railbender by Erie Brewing Company. And it says here, here's the deal. Erie, Pennsylvania. Well, that's why I always said the Erie area. The site where the 3 sets of railroad tracks gauges meet, with an important transportation hub in the mid-19th century. Railbreaker Ale is named after the laborers who laid the railroad tracks. It is brewed with pride, strength, and purity, symbolic of Erie's historical railroads and their workers. Now that's something. But, once again, make sure to hit the thumbs up for Dan Baker. Like, I don't give a shit if you do it for me, but just for a hell of a guy, and a hell of a fan, and a subscriber, just to go out of his way, just to say, here's a 6-pack for you to try. I don't give a shit if you like it or not. I want you to try and give your honest opinion. So, scoot that forward there. Okay. This is a Scottish-style ale. And the good thing about Ohio right now is it's in the 30s. So I left this in the bed of my truck, and it's a nice beer temperature. Twist top? Nope. Come on, baby. It's the most junk ass. There we go. Ooh, I like to smell it. It's really good. Nice amber color to it. I know you really don't give a shit about this. You just want to see me drink a beer and bitch about it and get on with it. So, it's a nice amber look. You know, the logo on the front's pretty rad. What are you? 6.8 alcohol by volume. That's pretty stout. So, let's give it a shot. Dan, once again, cheers to you, brother. Oh, yeah. It's very smooth. It's very on the tongue, and it's, you know, it kind of coats where it contacts right here, and it's a good coating, not like a oh my god, like trash looking garbage. It's good. Like, if you've ever drinking a stout, like a Guinness, and you have that like feeling when you drink it, it's the same thing, but it's not as harsh, and it doesn't taste like Guinness. It's got its own unique taste. It's really damn good. Damn, thanks, man. I'm gonna fucking enjoy that 6-pack. So let's get into it. I'll finish this, don't you worry. So, the first thing I want to start with is, alright, here's the scenario. You're trying to adapt and overcome. Unfortunately, you're at a racetrack or anywhere. You're off-roading, you're doing something, and you change your oil, and you forgot your oil pan. Now, we'll use the scenario of off-roading. So you're off-roading, you're almost to the end of the trail, and then there's this river or creek, if you want to call it, or creek, whatever you want to call it, and you have to get through it. Well, unfortunately, your guide gives you the wrong side, you go too deep, and you accidentally flood the motor. And I mean, chocolate milkshake and everything. Like, you haven't hurt anything, you did the right precautions, you pulled the plugs, turned it over, got it out of the water, and did everything you could. So now what you have to do is you're able to get to off the trail where there might be like an asphalt area or a nice flat dirt area. So every wheeler, every person I know, has one of these floating around in the back because, let's be honest, we get done with everything and it's in the back of the truck. So, here's what you do. You have no oil pan, or your buddy's gone and got you oil and a filter, but he didn't bring you back an oil pan. So what you do is, because usually everyone's got a knife on them, take your knife, and I recommend like something that's got a little bit more volume this way, so you have more of an area. But you make an incision in it, just a square. It doesn't have to be a perfect square. And you do that. You cut it open. Make yourself a nice little hole. Now you're probably saying, why don't you cut it all the way open? Well, I would actually cut it a little bigger, now looking at it. Just a little bit bigger. And then make an incision in it so you have an easier time folding this back. You'll see why in a minute when I'm keeping the flap. So now you've officially created something that you could put underneath your truck, car, Jeep, whatever, and now you have a way to get your oil in here. I kept the flap here just in case you misjudged, and now you have a back catch so it'll still go in and you can adjust accordingly. Another reason why you don't cut this section off, because if you ever use an oil pan and it comes out quick, it sometimes splashes everywhere. So with that being there, you now don't have that risk of it spraying everywhere. It might get a little bit on you or in the ground, but this is mostly for something that's like a 5-quart pan or something like that. You may need a couple of these if you're doing this trick. If you're lucky enough to do it inside like a, somehow, some magical way. You fucked up and you went off the Walmart little embankment, didn't know creek was back there, and now you're stuck in the Walmart Tire and Lube parking lot. You do this, you go in, ask them to dump it, and then rinse and repeat. Now, another thing this is used before I did cut it up, is that the reason, what I would do if, this was an empty jug, I had diesel fuel in this because I clean parts with diesel fuel, so I carry dieselness. These also make good, quick makeshift gallon jugs for gasoline, or diesel, or Caro. Really, if you just don't want to go spend $20 nowadays just for a gallon gas can, or anything like that, because those safety mechs, these work too. Coolant jugs are the same way. Any kind of like plastic jug works like that. Now another thing you can do, since this thing is just a demonstration piece, we'll go ahead and cut this all the way out. And what else you can use this for, say you don't have a workbench, or you're very limited on space, and you don't have a parts washer, or anything like that. So the Mobile One that I have here is kind of a deeper, container. Some of them are cylindrical and taller and yada yada blah blah blah. So what I've done before, if I'm working underneath a truck or something and I don't have a magnetic bin, this comes in handy because you now have a place to lay your parts and potentially other fluid to clean. For example, say you're working on a quadra-junk. This thing looks like it's been underneath the ocean for a little bit. You now have an area that you can put your quadra-junk in and clean it. You can also tear it apart inside of this thing too, so if your little springs, your balls, or any kind of piece that you think might fly away. And you can keep everything contained in here, and that's another thing you can do. So, 3 things you can do with just an old oil jug. Use it as an oil pan, if needed, if you're stranded or something. You can use it for carrying gasoline or fuel for a short period of time, just to be sure. And then you could also, you know, tear apart carburetors, tear apart fuel injectors, whatever you want inside of here, and it's contained. And you still have enough room to where you can actually clean parts and you can move around it. Like, granted, this carburetor is not the best of examples, but you get what I mean. You can clean stuff in here, or you can soak stuff in here, and it's not going to leak. So moving on. Beer. So this little gadget. Don't know if you can see it very well. So what this is 2 5/16 bolts and a piece of angle iron that I cut. See, used to be angle iron a while ago. And what I did was I just looked at this piece and went, that small piece of angle iron, because I'm like, man, this is some good heavy duty stuff. I don't want to get rid of it. So I looked at it and I had an idea. 2 things you can actually do with this, 3 technically, is that you can make yourself a makeshift wrench so long as you put it on right. So what I did was, just real quick, this side, the bolt can slide through real easily, no problem. And this side, the other half, is threaded. 5/16 18. You can use quarter. I just prefer to use a bigger bolt in case you have this problem. So you can make these into a very, very, very annoying pair of tweezers that you can potentially use like so. Now, I'm not saying these things are going to work like perfectly, but you now have something you can use to, potentially try to grab something. Not the best idea. That's not what these are actually. This is what I actually came up with this for. So, one, if you're in a pinch, you can actually try to use this for a bolt. You're going to have longer bolts for big nuts and stuff like that. But if you need to, you can make it to where it'll clamp down. And if you keep a couple, if you make longer bolts in this and keep a couple spacers in between here, you can have enough of the actual bolt heads to where you could take and put something in between them and rotate it around if you're really in a squeeze. So, and that's really going to be a pain in the ass to do, like if it's sitting like this. So you'll have to pry to rotate it around. Another thing, and the main thing I made this for, was in the concept of my buddies who do wheeling and off-roading. Say if you didn't extend your rubber line long enough, and you're now got brake fluid flooding everywhere and you have no brakes. This right here, could save your wheeling day, because you can take and put your rubber hose through there and then tighten down and pinch it off, and really all you made this out of, and I sprayed mine, husk corn yellow, because I will lose this inside of any kind of rig. So you can put this on your keychain. You can put this in your, if you got like an ammo can in the back of your Jeep or in the back of your truck, you can put that there as well. So this also will work too if you maybe messed up your fuel line and you have a rubber line or a plastic line and you need just to pinch it off temporarily so you can find a repair. This will work as well. Just put it in the middle of it, tighten it down. I went ahead and rounded the corners as well so it doesn't snip the actual line. It's just so it clamps down on it. So you can have something to stop brake fluid, tranny fluid, any kind of rubber line or any plastic line to stop it from hemorrhaging. Just to give you enough time to find a fix, figure something out, instead of leaking gasoline everywhere, your trans fluid everywhere, so you can get off the road, you can get to where you're going. This is a very cheap and easy thing to do. So, the clamp, and this. Cost me less than $2. And instead of going and buying a $10 oil pan, you have this. Parts cleaner. If you don't have one, you now have this. If you don't have a pair of vice grips or channel locks or something to pinch off a line, this little thing can sit in your pocket comfortably. It's just food for thought. All you need is a drill and a tap and some bolts. Really, you can go to the junkyard and make this. So again, Dan, I greatly appreciate it, my friend. I really do. This guy met me at a Columbus Waffle House and handed me 6 beers. We talked for a little bit, and we both went our ways. He even showed me his little ship box S10 he had. Really cool ride, man. So, use it up, wear it out, can't afford to do without, and adapt and overcome to any standard that you have, because this kind of thinking, you might come up with something that really might be useful to other people, or the next big invention. So, I'm going to enjoy the shit out of this 6-pack. Happy Friday, everybody. Thank you for watching A.C.C. Garage. God bless beer. See ya.